Wider tires. Is it wise to put them on your vehicle? Well, you think they will probably give you more grip, so it's a brilliant idea. Well, that's true, but there's actually so much more about it, and unfortunately there is a lot of drawbacks of doing that. So let's dive into this topic today. My name is Marek, welcome to MDrives, welcome to another video, and today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about going with wider tires. So let's jump in. Okay, so let's start with why would you actually want wider tires on your car? Well, the main advantage is mechanical grip. So it's physics. The wider the tire, the bigger the contact patch with the asphalt is, which means you have more grip. And in practice, what this means is that you can take the same corner at a higher speed before your tire will start slipping, ultimately letting you drive a bit quicker in the corners. So 255s at the front, 275s at the back, only 1.5 degrees outside, wet, and I'm gripping. Obviously I have to be careful because even with wider tires in these conditions, it's not wise and safe to floor it. You never know when the car will jump a bit and lose grip, which might send you into a ditch. But let's go back to our tires. So why not everyone does it? Well, because there are some drawbacks, and there's actually quite a few. I think first one I'm going to mention is noise. So again, it's a physics. The bigger the contact patch, the more noise the tire will produce. Okay, so more noise. It's not a huge trade-off for some, but there is more. So the other thing is fuel consumption. Again, it's related to a couple of things. The wider tire has the higher rolling resistance, which makes it more difficult to roll. The tire obviously will weigh slightly more, which means it takes more inertia for your engine to actually make it spin. Wider tires can also reduce slightly a top speed of your vehicle. I mean, in this country, you're probably not going to be concerned with that, but if you're in Germany and you have access to your Autobahn, you might actually observe that your car will be slightly slower. And that's obviously due to more rolling resistance too. Okay, but what about more benefits? Because so far, this sounds like a bad idea. Well, there are other potential good things about wider tires. So, to give you an example, my BMW M2 as standard came with 245 section front tires and 265 section rear tires. Well, that's plenty, but in this vehicle you can actually run out of that grip. So I swapped my tires to 255 275, which means I've gone a size up at both front and rear. And funnily enough, this actually cost me less than going with 245 265. How does this make any sense? Well, it's because of how popular the tire size is. So the more popular it is, the more manufacturers make of them, then they becoming cheaper. So by going size up, I'm actually saving about £30 per tire, which when you think about all four, it's about £120 cheaper, which is crazy, right? Well, don't be rushing to the shop yet, as obviously remember, wider tires mean more fuel consumption. Unfortunately, again, it's a physics. The wider the tire, the more rolling resistance, the less fuel efficient they are. Although with just going one size up on each axle, you probably won't see more than a 2-3 mpg's difference. In liters, probably about 0.3 liters per 100 kilometers, so not a huge difference. There are also circumstances when wider tires are not recommended. If we're talking about winter tires, for example, there is a benefit of going with even narrower tire than your summer tire, and that's due to the fact that the narrower tire will dig in more into the snow, giving you more grip. I know this sounds slightly counterintuitive. Also, the wider the tire, the more difficult it is to remove the water from underneath, which means the potential to aquaplane might be slightly higher if you hit deep water. However, obviously the manufacturers have that in mind, and they try to make sure that the thread is good enough to actually get rid of that excess of water from underneath your tire. Okay, any other advantages? I think the only one I can think of is aesthetics. And again, this is very personal. Some people like the look of wider tires because the car looks a bit more aggressive with wider tires. And to be honest, I agree with that. Going size up made the car look a bit more aggressive. However, I've already heard from people saying, oh, I actually prefer those skinny tires, because with the going size up, so when I've gone from 245 to 255, for example, at the front, what it means that if you keep the same tire profile, which is 35 in the case of my tire, it will be slightly taller as well. So it will look meatier. When you look at the car from its profile, the tire will physically be slightly taller, which again leads us to another potential drawback. Potential because it's going to be different in different cases. So going with a wider tire and keeping the same profile of the tire means that the tire will be slightly taller, which leads to the situation where when you're traveling at the same indicated speed by your speedo, you will actually now travel quicker because the tire is slightly taller, which means that every time it rolls, it goes a bit further. So when I now compare my speedometer with the sat-nav, it actually is almost the same. So I'm actually closer to the real speed than before, which I take as a bonus. But if you want to make sure that you're not changing that too much, you can use a free calculator. So if you Google tire size calculator, there will be dozens of them available online, and you can actually input your original tire and the new tire you want, and it will tell you the difference in the real speed of your vehicle with those new tires. So make sure you do that if you're planning to go wider. Any other drawbacks? Well, definitely there is another one: acceleration and top speed. So because you have a wider tire, if your car has a plenty of power like mine and it's only rear wheel drive or front wheel drive, you will be limited by that amount of mechanical grip in terms of how fast you can accelerate. Before, your tires will lose grip and the acceleration will basically be slower. So like in my case, because I have a wider tire now, when I'm doing a launch from 0 to 60, let's say, it will actually decrease the acceleration time, because in those crucial first gear and beginning of second gear, when normally your tire would give up because there's too much torque, too much power going through the wheels, now you've got more grip, meaning it will push your car faster. But unfortunately, when you travel very fast, this changes into disadvantage, because your car will require to input more power to roll the wheels because of that higher rolling resistance. So again, we've got some trade-offs and some advantages. Now, some of you probably are thinking, can I only change tires at one axle, so either front or rear? Well, you can, but again, there are drawbacks of that. And as long as you're aware of what they are, I think you're gonna be safe. So listen to me now. When I decided to go with wider tires, my rear tires needed changing at that point, but I still had plenty of tread on my front tires. Do you bin a good tires? Well, that would be stupid. So I decided to upgrade my rear tires first, and then when the fronts will get worn and I will have to change them anyway, well, then I'm gonna go with wider at the front as well. And it was fine because I was aware of what this means to how the car will behave on the road. So to give you a good example, you're not going to feel it in 99% of situations on the road. But if you are like me, and sometimes when you go for that special drive at very early in the morning at the road which is completely empty and you want to take advantage of it, well, then it will actually show you the difference. And the difference being that suddenly I had more grip at the back than at the front. My car is a rear wheel drive and it always was well balanced. It was set up in a way that it would not oversteer or understeer. It would be pretty balanced. So in the corners, when you're taking them at the limit, not like I'm doing it now, but at the limit, the car would kind of, you would feel that it's in harmony. Front and rear, it's in harmony. And when you losing grip, not because you're trying to put too much power to the rear wheels, but because you are driving too fast in a corner, well, suddenly I realized it was the front which was giving up first, not the back. So I was basically in the corner, and under like real stress in the corner, I started to feel that the front was losing a grip and the rear was still happily sitting where it was. It was still confident and not losing any grip. So as long as you're aware of that, and when you're taking those corners, you think, right, okay, the front will go first, so I need to be careful. That's fine. I think it would be a bit more tricky if you go wider at the front in my car first and then rear at later stage, because that would mean that it would give you that extra confidence when you're turning, that the front has amazing grip now. But then your rear is not equal to that. Your rear would start losing grip far quicker than your front, which means that you are at greater risk of oversteering, which, well, if you can catch it, you know how to do it, it might be okay. But on the road, in majority of cases, it's not ideal. You want that balance to kind of be there for your own safety. So this is definitely something to bear in mind. And after I increased the width of the tire at the front as well to 255, again I had this 20 difference between front and rear, and the balance was restored, and now the car feels glued to the road again, and it doesn't have tendency for one axle to lose grip quicker than the other one. So after what you've just heard, do you still think that going wider is a wise thing to do? Let me know. I want to hear about your experience. Maybe you've already done that and you want to share your experience with people watching this video. So that would be really interesting. So tell others what car you drive and what have you done to the tires. So your original size and the new size, and what effect it actually gave, and is it worth it or not. It would be really useful for people to have this kind of database almost of other people and their experiences. So I encourage you to do that. That would be brilliant if you share your experience.
So I really hope you found this video informative, interesting and helpful. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel and don't forget to drop your comment too. For now, thank you for watching, goodbye, do widzenia.